The message came through every screen on Earth at exactly the same moment. Billions of people stopped what they were doing and stared at the alien face that appeared before them. The creature had scales like a lizard, yellow eyes that seemed to look down on everything, and a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. "Humans of Earth," the alien said. "I am High General Vex Ral of the Veskari Empire, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Council. Your planet has been evaluated. You are a primitive species. You discovered faster-than-light travel by accident, not through true understanding. You have built weapons you barely control. You fight among yourselves like animals. The Council has decided that Earth must surrender all military power to us. We will guide you. We will teach you. We will rule you. You have 72 hours to accept. If you refuse, our fleet will destroy every military base on your planet from orbit. Choose wisely." The screen went dark. For a moment, the entire world was silent. Then the panic began. Admiral Taesung sat in his office deep beneath the Pacific Ocean and watched the chaos unfold on the news feeds. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. He had been preparing for this day for 5 years, ever since Earth's first contact with the aliens. While politicians talked about peace and cooperation, Taesung had been building a secret fleet. His desk screen lit up. The face of Ambassador G1 appeared. She was a woman in her 40s, with sharp eyes and a calm expression that never revealed what she was thinking. "They actually did it," she said. "The Council thinks we will just give up." "Will the politicians want to surrender?" Taesung asked. "Some will," G1 admitted. "They will say we cannot win. They will say fighting is suicide. But I have been talking to the right people. I can give you your 72 hours. Maybe a bit more. I need at least that," Taesung said. "Our ships are ready, but our crews need time to reach their stations. The defense platforms need to be activated. The civilian populations near military targets need to evacuate. I will handle the Council," G1 said. "You handle the war." The screen went dark. Taesung stood and walked to the window that looked out into the underwater base. Hundreds of people moved through the corridors, all rushing to their battle stations. Engineers checked weapon systems. Pilots ran to their fighters. Marines loaded equipment onto transports. Everyone knew this day would come. Everyone was ready. Across the base, in a laboratory that officially did not exist, Dr. Hee-jin was making final adjustments to a weapon that would change everything. She was a small woman with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. For 3 years, she had barely slept. The Prometheus project was her life's work, and now it would either save humanity or mean nothing at all. "Doctor, the Admiral wants a status report," her assistant said. "Tell him the Alcubierre hammer is ready for testing," Hee-jin replied. "It will work. I know it will work. And if it doesn't?" Hee-jin smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Then, we fight with what we have and hope it's enough." The assistant left. Hee-jin looked at the massive device in front of her. It looked like a giant ring made of strange metals that seemed to bend light around them. The aliens thought humans discovered faster-than-light travel by accident. They were wrong. Humans discovered it by breaking the rules, by trying things that should not work, by refusing to accept that anything was impossible. And now, Hee-jin had taken that same technology and turned it into a weapon. In orbit above Earth, thousands of satellites suddenly came to life. They had been disguised as space junk, as old, broken satellites that nobody cared about. Now they moved into position, forming a defensive network around the planet. Each one was armed with railguns, missiles, and laser systems. It was not enough to stop the Council fleet. Taesung knew that. But it would make them pay for every mile they advanced. At the United Nations building in New York, Ambassador G1 stood before the Galactic Council's representatives. There were 3 of them: the Veskari general, with his scales and cold eyes, a Lumine elder that looked like a being made of living crystal, and a Threx counselor that resembled a giant insect with too many eyes. "We have considered your offer," G1 said calmly. Earth rejects it completely. The Veskari general actually laughed. You are foolish. We have conquered 47 species. Your resistance is meaningless. Perhaps, G1 said. But humans have a saying. We would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. Then you will die. The general said. Maybe, G1 replied. But you will bleed first. And when the rest of the galaxy sees that Earth made the mighty council bleed, they will start to ask questions. They will wonder why you came here with threats instead of friendship. They will wonder what else you have lied about. The Luminae elder shifted uncomfortably. G1 saw it and smiled inside. Good. There were cracks in the council's unity. That could be useful. Your fleet arrives in 72 hours, the Threx counselor said. Surrender before then, and your people will live as subjects. Refuse, and you will live as slaves. Resist, and you will not live at all. We will resist, G1 said, and we will show you that humans are not like the other species you have conquered. We are survivors. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We survived ice ages and plagues and asteroids, and ourselves. You think you can break us? You are welcome to try. She turned and walked out, her back straight, her head high. Behind her, the three council members looked at each other. For the first time, the Threx counselor felt something strange. It took him a moment to recognize the feeling. It was doubt. Across Earth, humanity prepared for war. Old hatreds were forgotten. Nations that had been enemies for centuries suddenly became allies. Weapons, factories, ran day and night. Volunteers lined up to join the military. People who had never agreed on anything suddenly agreed on one thing. Earth would not surrender. In his underwater base, Admiral Taesung looked at the tactical display. Red markers showed where the Council fleet would enter the solar system. Blue markers showed Earth's defense forces. There were so many more red markers than blue. But Taesung had spent 5 years studying the aliens. He knew their tactics. He knew their weaknesses, and he knew something they did not. Humans were very good at fighting when their backs were against the wall. All stations report ready, sir, an officer said. Good, Taesung replied. Now we wait. And when they come, we show them what humans can do. High above Earth, a fighter pilot named Dong Hyun sat in his cockpit and ran through his pre-flight checks for the 100th time. He was young, barely 25, but he was the best pilot in the fleet. His hands moved over the controls with practiced ease. His fighter was new, designed specifically to fight the Council's ships. It could pull maneuvers that would kill most alien pilots. The aliens evolved on low-gravity worlds. Their bodies could not handle the forces that humans could endure. All wings, this is command, a voice said over the radio. The Council fleet has been detected. They will arrive in 60 hours. Get some rest. When they come, we hit them with everything we have. Dong Hyun smiled. Rest. As if anyone could sleep now. The entire solar system was holding its breath, waiting for the battle that would decide humanity's fate. On the Council's command ship, High General Vexral looked at the tactical display with bored eyes. Another primitive species. Another easy conquest. In 3 days, Earth would be broken, and the humans would learn their place in the galaxy. He had no doubt about this. He had conquered too many worlds to doubt. He did not know he was about to learn a very important lesson. Never underestimate a species that has survived for millions of years by refusing to give up. The Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 200 warships appeared in the darkness of space, their weapons powered and ready. High General Vex Ral stood on the bridge of his flagship and smiled his cold reptilian smile. This would be over quickly. Scan for human defenses, he ordered. Sir, we are detecting numerous satellites around the third planet, an officer reported. They appear to be armed, Vexral laughed. Satellites. How primitive. Destroy them as we pass. All ships, advance at full speed. The humans will see our power and surrender before we even reach their world. The fleet began moving forward. They were confident. They were experienced. They had done this many times before, but they did not know that in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Admiral Tae-sung was watching them on his command screen, and he was counting every second. They are moving exactly as predicted, Tae-sung said quietly. They think we will fight them at Earth. They are wrong. Captain Sora, are you ready? On a ship hidden behind Saturn's massive rings. Captain Sora stood on her bridge and smiled. She was a woman in her 30s, with quick eyes and quicker reflexes. Her ship, the ESS Indomitable, was the largest warship humanity had ever built. It had taken 3 years to construct in secret, using materials mined from Saturn's moons. The Council did not even know it existed. We are ready, Admiral, Sora replied. All weapons are charged. All systems are green. Just give the word. Not yet, Tae-sung said. Let them get deeper into the system. Let them think they are winning. The Council fleet passed Mars. They were moving fast, eager to reach Earth and end this quickly. They did not scan carefully. They did not expect resistance. This was their first mistake. In the asteroid belt, thousands of rocks suddenly came to life. They were not rocks at all. They were defense platforms, disguised and waiting. Each one fired at the same moment, launching missiles and accelerated projectiles at the advancing fleet. On the Council flagship, alarms screamed. Officers shouted. The neat formation of ships suddenly broke apart as captains tried to evade the unexpected attack. What is happening? Vexral roared. Where did those weapons come from? Not for the asteroids, sir. They were hiding weapons in the asteroids. Impossible. Our scans showed nothing. They must have shielded them somehow. Sir, we have lost 12 ships already. No, 15, 20. Vexral's scales flushed dark with anger. All ships, return fire. Destroy every rock in this belt if you have to. But destroying asteroids was not easy. The Council ships had to slow down, had to aim carefully. And while they were distracted, something else was happening. Lieutenant Dong-hyun and his fighter wing launched from hidden bases on the moon. There were 300 fighters in total, small and fast. They accelerated toward the Council fleet at speeds that should have been impossible. The pilots inside felt crushing force against their bodies. But they had trained for this. Humans could handle acceleration that would kill most alien species. All wings. This is Dong-hyun, he said over the radio. Remember your training. They think in 2 dimensions. We think in 3. Use that. Hit them from above and below. Never stay still. Move, move, move. The fighters screamed into battle. They came from angles the Council ships did not expect. From above and below the plane where most space battles happened. Their weapons were simple but effective. Missiles and railguns that fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. A Council cruiser exploded as Dong-hyun's missiles struck its engines. Another ship lost its weapons when a railgun shot punched through its armor. The aliens tried to target the human fighters, but the small ships moved too fast, changing direction in ways that seemed impossible. They are pulling 12 gravity turns, a Council officer screamed. Nothing can do that. And humans can, Vexral said quietly. He was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. Admiral Tae-sung watched the battle unfold on his screens. The Council fleet was confused, taking damage, their neat formations broken. It was time for the final surprise. Captain Sora, you may fire when ready. Behind Saturn, the ESS Indomitable powered up its engines and moved into the open. It was massive, 3 times larger than any Council warship. Along its spine were weapons the aliens had never seen before. Kinetic accelerators that used magnetic fields to fire projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. All weapons, target the Council flagship, Sora ordered. The Indomitable fired. 6 projectiles, each the size of a car, crossed the distance to the Council flagship in seconds. They struck the ship's shields, and the shields failed instantly. The projectiles punched through the armor, through the hull, through everything. The flagship did not explode. It simply broke apart, its structure unable to handle the kinetic energy. Vex Rahl barely had time to scream before his bridge collapsed around him. Emergency systems saved his life, putting him in an escape pod that launched away from the dying ship. But his pride died with the flagship. The Council fleet panicked. They had lost their commander. They had lost 30% of their ships in less than an hour. This was not supposed to happen. They were the conquerors. They were the superior force. All ships, retreat, the second-in-command ordered. Fall back to the edge of the system. We need to regroup. The Council ships turned and ran. The human fighters pursued them, harassing them all the way. The defense platforms in the asteroid belt continued firing. By the time the Council fleet reached the edge of the solar system and jumped away to safety, they had lost 65 ships out of 200. On Earth, people watched the news in shock and joy. They had won. Against all odds, humanity had won the first battle. In the underwater base, Admiral Tae Sung allowed himself a small smile, but only a small one. He knew this was just the beginning. The Council would return with more ships, more weapons, more anger. Send a message to all stations, he said. This was a victory. But the war is not over. They will come back. And next time, they will not be so careless. Captain So-Ra stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at the debris field where the Council flagship had been. She felt no joy in the destruction. War was not something to celebrate, but protecting Earth was everything. Take us back to Saturn, she ordered. We need to rearm and repair. They will be back. Lieutenant Dong Hyun landed his fighter on the moon base and climbed out of the cockpit. His body ached from the high-gravity maneuvers, but he was alive. His entire wing had survived. That was almost a miracle. Good flying out there, another pilot said, slapping his shoulder. We got lucky, Dong Hyun replied. They did not expect us. Next time, they will be ready. Then we will have to be better, the pilot said. Dong Hyun nodded. That was the human way. When the challenge got harder, humans got better. In escape pod drifting in space, High General Vex Rahl stared at nothing. His fleet was broken. His flagship was destroyed. He had failed. But more than that, he was confused. How had these primitive humans hurt them so badly? How had they known where to hide their weapons? How had their fighters moved in ways that seemed to break physics? A rescue ship from the Council's reserve fleet picked up his pod. When Vex Rahl stepped onto the bridge, the captain bowed respectfully. But Vex Rahl could see the question in the captain's eyes. How did you lose? The humans are not what we thought, Vex Rahl said slowly. They are not primitives who got lucky with faster-than-light travel. They are warriors. They think differently than we do. They fight differently. What do we do now, sir? We report to the Council, Vex Rahl said, and we prepare for a real war. On Earth, Ambassador G1 stood before the cameras and spoke to the world. Today, humanity proved something important. We proved that we will not surrender. We proved that we can fight. But this is only the first battle. The Council will send more ships. They will come with everything they have. We must be ready. We must stand together. And we must show them that Earth belongs to humanity, now and always. Around the world, people cheered. They had been afraid. They had thought surrender was the only option. But now, they had hope. If they could win once, they could win again. In her laboratory, Dr. He-jin watched the news and then turned back to her work. The Alcubierre hammer was ready, but it was not enough. She needed more weapons. Better weapons. Weapons that would make the Council think twice about attacking Earth again. We surprised them once, she said to herself. But surprise only works once. What do we do for an encore? She smiled and started working on her next project. Humans were very good at finding creative solutions to impossible problems. That was what made them dangerous. 3 weeks after the first battle, the council returned. This time, they brought 500 ships. They did not rush forward. They did not assume victory. They formed a tight formation at the edge of the solar system and slowly began to advance, scanning everything carefully. Admiral Taesung watched them come and knew that the easy victory was over. This time, the council was ready. This time, it would be a real war. They are not making the same mistakes, he said quietly. They are moving carefully. They are scanning for our hidden platforms. Can we hold them? An officer asked. No, Taesung admitted. Not forever. But we can make them pay for every inch. And while they are fighting us here, Ambassador G1 is working on something else. The council fleet moved forward like a wall of steel. When they reached the asteroid belt, they fired on every rock, destroying real asteroids and hidden platforms alike. Human fighters attacked. But this time, the council was ready. Their point defense systems shot down most of the missiles. Their fighters flew in protective formations around the capital ships. Lieutenant Dong Hyun led his wing through the chaos of battle. He scored several hits on council ships, but he lost 5 fighters from his wing. The pilots ejected safely, but their ships were gone. Human losses were mounting. They learned from last time, Dong Hyun said over the radio. They are not giving us easy targets. Then we adapt, another pilot replied. That is what humans do, but adapting was getting harder. The council fleet pushed forward, getting closer to Earth every day. They established a blockade around the planet, cutting off supply routes from the outer colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. They were not trying to destroy Earth. They were trying to starve it into surrender. Admiral Taesung knew he needed to do something unexpected. He called Commander Won-ho to his office. Won-ho was a big man with scars on his face and hands that looked like they could break steel. He commanded Earth's Marine Corps, soldiers trained to fight in space and on ships. I need you to do something crazy, Taesung said. Won-ho grinned. I like crazy. We have identified the Council's command ship. It is the largest vessel in their fleet, heavily defended. I need you to board it. I need you to board it. Won-ho stopped grinning. Board it? Sir, that is suicide. Maybe. Taesung agreed. But if we can capture their command codes, their battle plans, anything useful, it could change the war. And if we can prove that humans can board their ships and survive in their environments, it will scare them. Fear is a weapon too. Won-ho thought about it for a long moment. Then, he nodded. Give me 20 good Marines. We will bring you back something useful, or die trying. 2 days later, Won-ho and his team launched in a stealth shuttle. They flew slowly, using minimal power, drifting like debris toward the Council command ship. It took 6 hours to get close enough. 6 hours of holding their breath, hoping the Council sensors would not detect them. Finally, they attached to the ship's hull. Won-ho activated his magnetic boots and moved to the airlock. His team carried cutting torches and explosives. They burned through the outer door and entered the ship. Inside, the gravity was low, the air was thin, and the temperature was cold. For most Council species, this was normal. For humans, it was uncomfortable, but survivable. Won-ho and his team moved through the corridors in their combat armor, their weapons ready. They encountered the first alien crew members in a side passage. The creatures were Threks, insect-like beings with 4 arms. They looked at the humans in shock. They had never seen anything like this. Humans boarding a Council ship? Impossible. Won-ho did not give them time to sound the alarm. His team moved fast, using non-lethal weapons when possible. They needed prisoners, not bodies. Information, not revenge. They fought their way to the ship's computer core. A Lumine officer tried to stop them, its crystalline body glowing with energy. But Wonho shot it with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, and the creature fell, stunned but alive. "Download everything you can," Wonho ordered his tech specialist. "We have maybe 5 minutes before security arrives in force." The specialist worked fast, pulling data from the alien computers. Battle plans, ship movements, supply routes, communication codes, everything. Alarms started blaring. Wonho could hear heavy footsteps coming down the corridor. A lot of footsteps. "Time to go," he said. "Everyone back to the shuttle." They ran. Behind them, Council security forces gave chase. Weapons fire lit up the corridors. One of Wonho's Marines took a hit to the leg and went down. Wonho threw the Marine over his shoulder and kept running. No one gets left behind. That was the rule. They made it back to the airlock. They sealed the door behind them and detonated charges on the hull, blowing a hole to escape through. The explosive decompression threw them into space, but their armor protected them. They fired thruster packs and flew back to their shuttle. The Council command ship fired on them, but they were small and fast. They dodged the weapons fire and activated their faster-than-light drive, jumping away before the Council could stop them. Back on Earth, Admiral Taesung reviewed the stolen data with Dr. He-jin and Ambassador G1. It was incredibly valuable. Now, they knew where the Council's supply depots were located. They knew which ships were running low on fuel. They knew the Council's battle plans. But there was something else in the data. Something that made Ambassador G1's eyes go wide. "Look at this," she said. "Council communication logs. They have been lying to their own member species. They told the Threk's homeworld that a plague affecting their people has no cure. But according to these files, there is a cure. The Council has it. They are withholding it to keep the Threk's dependent on them." Taesung leaned back in his chair. "If we reveal this, it could split the Council apart. That is exactly what we need to do," G1 said. "We cannot win this war by fighting alone. We need allies. We need to show the Council's member species that their leaders are corrupt." While the politicians worked on their strategy, Dr. He-jin focused on weapons. She had completed the Alcubierre hammer, but she needed to test it on a real target. Admiral Taesung gave her permission to try. The target was a Council fortress in the outer solar system, a station they had built to coordinate their blockade. It was heavily shielded, armed with powerful weapons. A normal attack would require a fleet to destroy it. Dr. He-jin used the Alcubierre hammer. The weapon created a faster-than-light bubble around a projectile, and then collapsed the bubble at the exact moment the projectile reached its target. The result was devastating. The projectile hit the fortress with so much energy that the shields did not even slow it down. The fortress did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, torn apart by forces that should not be possible in normal space. On the Council's surviving ships, officers stared at their sensors in horror. What kind of weapon could do that? How were these primitive humans creating technology that seemed to break the laws of physics? High General Vexral watched the destruction from his new flagship and felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. Real fear. These humans were not just fighting back. They were innovating, adapting, becoming more dangerous every day. "Send a message to the Council," he said. "Tell them we need reinforcements. Tell them the humans are not like any species we have encountered before. Tell them this will not be a quick conquest." Meanwhile, in Earth's orbital shipyards, thousands of workers were building new weapons, new ships, new defenses. Volunteers from around the world joined the military. Engineers shared designs openly. Countries that had been enemies cooperated fully. Humanity was united in a way it had never been before. In a civilian mining ship near Jupiter, an engineer named Yuna was having an idea. She commanded a fleet of industrial vessels that normally mined ice from Jupiter's moons. But those same mining lasers that cut through ice could cut through ship armor. Those same cargo holds that carried ore could carry missiles. She contacted Admiral Taesung with her proposal. Give my ships weapons, and we will join the fight. Your vessels are not warships, Taesung said. They are not armored. One hit, and you will be destroyed. We know the risk, Yuna replied. But we cannot sit here and do nothing while Earth is under siege. We are humans, too. We want to fight. Taesung approved her request. Within a week, Yuna's civilian fleet was armed and dangerous. They used their knowledge of the outer solar system to set up ambushes, attacking Council supply ships and then disappearing into the asteroid fields and planetary rings. The Council fleet was being hurt in 1,000 small ways. Supply ships destroyed. Communication satellites sabotaged. Patrols ambushed. It was not enough to break the blockade, but it was enough to make the Council nervous. On Earth, people tightened their belts and endured the shortages. Food was rationed. Power was rationed. But morale stayed high. Every night, people looked up at the stars and knew that humans were fighting up there, holding the line, refusing to surrender. Ambassador G1 began sending secret messages to certain members of the Council. The Threx counselor, who had seemed uncomfortable during their first meeting. The Lumine elder, who had shifted nervously. She sent them the stolen data. She showed them proof of the Council's corruption. Your leaders lie to you, her messages said. They withhold cures for plagues. They suppress technology that could help your people. They rule through fear and deception. Is this the government you want to serve? They rule. End quote. Some ignored her messages. But some did not. Some began to ask questions. Some began to doubt. The siege continued. Earth was wounded, but not broken. The Council was winning slowly, but they were paying a price they had not expected. And both sides knew that something had to change soon. The war could not continue like this forever. Someone would have to make the next big move. Admiral Taesung stood before his senior officers and showed them a map of Council space. A red line marked a route from Earth's solar system through a captured wormhole gate to the Veskari home system. We have been playing defense for 2 months, he said. The blockade is hurting us. Our supplies are running low. If we stay here and wait, eventually, we will lose. So we are going to do something they will never expect. We are going to attack them. The officers looked at each other. Attack? With what forces? The Council had hundreds of ships blockading Earth. The human fleet was smaller and struggling just to survive. Sir, we barely have enough ships to defend Earth, Captain Sora said carefully. How can we attack the Veskari homeworld? We are not trying to conquer it, Taesung explained. We are sending them a message. We are showing them that if they want war, war can reach their homes too. And we are giving the Council's member species something to think about. If humans can strike at the Veskari homeworld, nowhere is safe. He pointed at the map. We have captured a wormhole gate from a Council supply station. We can use it to jump directly into their space. Captain Sora, you will command the strike force. Take the Indomitable and 20 other ships. Jump in. Hit their orbital defenses hard enough to scare them, but do not kill civilians. Do not destroy cities. We are not conquerors. We are defenders, showing our teeth. Sora nodded slowly. When do we leave? Tomorrow. The strike force prepared in secret. They loaded the ships with weapons, supplies, and a special cargo. A recorded message from Ambassador G1 that would be broadcast across Council space. The next day, the 21 human ships jumped through the wormhole gate and emerged in the Veskari home system. Alarms immediately screamed across the system. How were humans here? How did they get through the gates? The Veskari home defense fleet scrambled to respond, but they were not prepared for what happened next. The human ships did not attack the planet. They targeted the orbital weapons platforms, the military satellites, the defense stations. And they did so with surgical precision. Dr. Hajin's Alcubierre hammer fired once. A single shot that destroyed the system's main fortress station. The structure simply vanished, torn apart by impossible forces. The Veskari defenders watched in horror. Captain Sora opened a communication channel to the entire system. People of the Veskari worlds, this is Captain Sora of Earth's United Defense Fleet. We did not come here to conquer you. We did not come here to kill you. We came to deliver a message. The screens across the Veskari homeworld suddenly showed Ambassador G1's face. The Galactic Council came to Earth with threats, G1 said in the recorded message. They told us to surrender or die. They called us primitive. They called us lucky. They were wrong. We are humans. We are survivors. We have fought ice ages and plagues and ourselves, and we are still here. You thought you could break us? You cannot. You thought you could conquer us? You will not. But here is what you need to understand. We do not want to conquer you either. The message continued. We know your leaders have lied to you. We have proof. We know about the Threx plague that has a cure your leaders are hiding. We know about the technologies they suppress to keep you dependent. We know about the species they have enslaved and the worlds they have destroyed. Your council is corrupt. But you, the people, are not our enemies. We offer you a choice. Help us end this war. Help us create something better than the council. Help us build a galaxy where species work together as equals, not as masters and slaves. The message ended. Captain Sora gave the order to retreat. The human ships jumped back through the wormhole before the Veskari could organize a real response. They had been in the system for less than an hour, but the damage was done. Not physical damage to the planet, but something far more dangerous to the Council. Damage to their authority. News of the attack spread across Council space within hours. The humans had struck at a Council homeworld. The humans had shown mercy. By not targeting civilians, the humans had revealed secrets the Council wanted hidden. And worst of all, for the Council, the humans had made them look weak. On Earth, people celebrated when they heard about the raid. But Admiral Tae Sung did not celebrate. He knew the Council would respond with fury. He was right. The Council called an emergency meeting. The three ruling species argued about what to do. Some wanted to destroy Earth completely. Some wanted to negotiate. Some wanted to find out how the humans had gotten so powerful so quickly. It was the Threx counselor, Thexan, who finally spoke the words no one wanted to say. We underestimated them. We thought they were primitive because they only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. But we never asked why a species from such a high-gravity world developed that technology at all. We never asked what kind of species survives on a world that tries to kill them every day. We treated them like we treated all the other species we conquered. But they are not like the others. The Lumine elder, Zarthel, nodded. I have been researching Earth. Their world is a death trap. High gravity, violent weather, dangerous predators, diseases, and yet they survived. More than survived. They thrived. They developed technology through constant problem solving. They are natural innovators because they had to be. Every human alive is a descendant of survivors. What are you saying? High General Vexrel demanded. That we cannot defeat them? I am saying, Thexan replied carefully, that defeating them will cost more than we can afford. And I am saying that maybe we should consider their offer. Never! Vexral roared. The Council does not negotiate with primitives, but doubt had been planted. And doubt grew. Back on Earth, Commander Wonho was training something new. Mixed human and alien units. Some Council soldiers had defected after hearing Ambassador G1's message. Not many, but enough. Threx who wanted the plague cure for their families. Lumine who were tired of the Council's lies. Even a few Veskari who believed in honor and saw no honor in the Council's methods. Can we trust them? An officer asked Wonho. Trust is earned. Wonho replied. But they came to us. They chose us over their own leaders. That counts for something. Besides, we need all the help we can get. The war continued, but it was changing. Small groups of council ships began to desert. Some simply left the fight. Some actively joined the humans. The blockade around Earth weakened as the council pulled ships back to protect their own worlds. Dr. Heejin and her team developed new weapons and shared them with Earth's allies. They created shield technologies that were more efficient than the council's. They designed faster-than-light drives that used less energy. They proved that human innovation was not luck. It was skill. Engineer Yuna and her civilian fleet continued their guerrilla attacks. But now, they had help from defecting council ships who told them where to strike and when. Lieutenant Dong Hyun trained defecting alien pilots in human combat tactics. It was strange teaching aliens how to fly, but they learned. They learned that humans thought in 3 dimensions while most council tactics were 2-dimensional. They learned that humans were willing to push their bodies to the limit to win. They learned that humans never, ever gave up. High General Vex Ral was furious. His fleet was falling apart. His authority was crumbling. He decided to make one last, desperate move. He would challenge the human fleet to single combat. His flagship against the humans' best ship. If he won, maybe he could restore his honor and the council's power. If he lost, well, at least it would be an honorable death. He sent the challenge to Captain Sora. Your ship against mine. No support vessels. No interference. Just skill against skill. Do you have the courage? Sora read the message and smiled. He thinks this is about courage. He still does not understand humans at all. She accepted the challenge. The 2 flagships met in empty space between Earth and Mars. The Indomitable and Vex Ral's new flagship circled each other like ancient warriors. Millions watched on both sides, human and alien alike. The battle began. Vex Ral used traditional council tactics, trying to use his ship's superior firepower to overwhelm the human vessel. But Sora did not fight traditionally. She used the Indomitable's better maneuverability to avoid the heaviest weapons. She targeted specific systems instead of trying to destroy the whole ship. She fought smart, not hard. The battle lasted 30 minutes. In the end, the Indomitable's kinetic accelerators punched through Vex Ral's ship's engines, crippling it without destroying it. Sora could have finished him, could have destroyed the ship and killed everyone aboard. Instead, she sent a rescue team. Won-Ho and his Marines boarded Vex Ral's crippled ship and found the general on his broken bridge. Vex Ral expected to be killed or humiliated. Instead, Won-Ho offered him a hand. The battle is over, Won-Ho said. You fought with honor. Now let us save your crew. Vex Ral stared at the human's hand for a long moment. Then, slowly, he took it. For the first time, he understood. These humans were not conquerors. They were something else, entirely. Why? Vex Ral asked. Why show mercy to your enemy? Because, Won-Ho replied, we believe enemies can become friends, and we need friends more than we need bodies. The galaxy watched as High General Vex Ral, the feared Veskari commander, appeared in a broadcast from Earth. He was not in chains. He was not humiliated. He stood beside Ambassador G1 and spoke words that would change everything. I came to conquer Earth, Vex Ral said. I believed humans were primitive. I believed the Council was righteous. I was wrong about both. The humans defeated me in battle. But they did not kill me. They showed mercy to my crew. They treated our wounded. And they showed me the truth about the Council I served. He held up a data pad. These are the files the humans captured from our command ship. Proof that the Council withholds cures for diseases. Proof that they suppress technology to keep member species dependent. Proof that they lie about their conquests. I have verified this data. It is real. The Council I served is corrupt, and I will serve it no longer." The broadcast ended. Across Council space, people watched in shock. If Vex Ral, the most loyal of Council generals, had turned against them, what did that mean? In the Council chambers, chaos erupted. The Veskari representatives demanded Vex Ral be declared a traitor. The Threx counselor Thexan stood and called for an investigation into the accusations. The Lumine elder Zarthel demanded transparency. "We cannot ignore this," Zarthel said. "The humans have proof of our corruption. Vex Ral confirms it. Member species across the galaxy are demanding answers. If we do not act, the Council will tear itself apart." "Then what do you suggest?" a Veskari counselor hissed. "That we surrender to humans?" "No," Thexan said. "I suggest we listen to their offer. They do not want to conquer us. They want to reform us. Perhaps it is time we considered if they are right." The vote was close. But finally the Council agreed to send representatives to Earth for peace talks. Not surrender. Not submission. Talks. Ambassador G1 received the Council's delegation in Geneva. There were representatives from all three ruling species, and from many of the subject species as well. She met them not with triumph, but with respect. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know this was not an easy decision. The Council has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Admitting that change is needed takes courage. Do not mistake this for weakness," a Veskari delegate said. "We come to talk, not to surrender." "Good," G1 replied. "Because we are not asking for surrender. We are asking for partnership. We are asking you to join us in creating something better." The negotiations took weeks. There were arguments. There were walkouts. There were moments when it seemed like the talks would fail and the war would resume. But slowly, carefully, a new framework emerged. The Galactic Council would be dissolved. In its place would be the Galactic Federation, a government where all species had equal representation. No species could be conquered or forced to join. All technology would be shared freely. All species would have the right to defend themselves. And most importantly, the Federation would be governed by elected representatives, not by military force. Dr. He Jin was chosen to lead the technology sharing initiative. She started by sharing the cure for the Threx plague, asking nothing in return. The gesture saved millions of Threx lives and earned humanity gratitude across the galaxy. "Technology should not be hoarded," she told the Federation Assembly. "It should be shared. That is how we all grow stronger together." She shared human medical advances, more efficient, faster than light drives, and sustainable energy systems. In return, other species shared their own technologies. The Lumine taught humans about energy manipulation. The Threx shared their biological engineering knowledge. Even the Veskari contributed their expertise in shipbuilding. Commander Won Ho became the first director of the Federation Military Academy on Mars. The academy trained mixed species units, teaching them to work together instead of against each other. Human and alien soldiers learned from each other, combining their different strengths and perspectives. "We are not building an army of conquest," Won Ho told the first class of cadets. "We are building a force for defense and peacekeeping. We protect the weak. We maintain order. We do not oppress. That is our oath." Engineer Yuna's civilian fleet became the foundation of the Independent Trade Network, a system that allowed small merchants and companies to transport goods across the galaxy without paying the massive fees that the old council had charged. Free trade meant free people, and free people meant prosperity for everyone. Lieutenant Donghyun continued flying, but now he led mixed squadrons of human and alien pilots. They explored uncharted space together, discovering new worlds and new species. When they found species that needed help, they offered it freely. When they found pirates or raiders, they stopped them. Captain Sora commanded a new kind of ship, a Federation vessel crewed by members of 6 different species. The ESS Horizon represented everything the new Federation stood for. Different species, working together, exploring together, protecting together. Admiral Taesung retired from active service, his mission complete. Earth was safe. Humanity had a place in the galaxy as equals, not subjects. He spent his retirement teaching at the academy, passing his knowledge to the next generation of defenders. We won the war, he told his students. Not because we were stronger, but because we refused to become what they were. We fought to defend, not to conquer. We showed mercy to our enemies, and we proved that different can mean better, not worse. High General Vex Rao, to everyone's surprise, also taught at the academy. He taught strategy and tactics, but from a different perspective. He taught students what he had learned the hard way. Never underestimate your opponent, he said. Never assume you know everything. And never let pride blind you to the truth. I made all these mistakes, and it cost me my fleet, my career, and my honor. I found new honor by admitting I was wrong. That is the hardest lesson to learn, but the most important. Ambassador G1 became the first Secretary General of the Galactic Federation. She served 5 terms, guiding the young government through its difficult early years. Under her leadership, 23 former Council subject species gained full independence and equal status. 12 new species were discovered and welcomed as friends, not conquered as subjects. Dr. Hai-Jin continued her research, always pushing the boundaries of what was possible. She never forgot that humanity's greatest strength was innovation, the willingness to try new things and question old assumptions. The technologies she developed helped terraform dead worlds, cure diseases, and explore the deepest parts of space. Years passed. The wounds of war healed slowly. There were still those who missed the old council, who thought the Federation was too soft, too democratic, too chaotic. But most people, human and alien alike, recognized that the new system was better. It was not perfect. Democracy never is. But it was fair, and that was what mattered. On Earth, in a small house by the ocean, Dr. Hai-Jin sat with her daughter and looked up at the stars. Ships moved across the sky, human and alien, working together to build a better future. Mom, her daughter asked, why did the Council attack us? Hai-Jin thought about how to explain it simply. They thought we were weak because we were different. They did not understand that different does not mean weak, it just means different. But we won, her daughter said. We survived, Hai-Jin corrected gently. We protected our home. We made friends with our enemies. That is better than winning. That is building something that lasts. Her daughter thought about this. What made us different? Many things, Hai-Jin said. We think differently. We solve problems in new ways. We never give up. But I think the most important thing is that we believe enemies can become friends. The Council saw only conquerors and conquered. We see potential allies everywhere. That is what makes us human. In orbit above Earth, the Federation flag flew alongside the flags of dozens of worlds. Ships from across the galaxy docked at Earth's space stations, trading goods and ideas. Aliens walked Earth's streets, tourists and students and merchants. Earth had become a center of trade, education, and culture for the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council had wanted to rule Earth. Instead, Earth had helped free the galaxy from tyranny. Humanity had proven that strength is not about domination. It is about adaptation, cooperation, and the courage to do what is right even when it is hard. In a Federation assembly hall on the Moon, representatives from 147 species gathered to vote on important issues. They argued and debated and disagreed, but they did it with words, not weapons. They compromised and cooperated, and slowly built a civilization that respected everyone. And somewhere in deep space, Captain Sora stood on the bridge of the horizon and looked at her mixed crew. A human navigator, a Threx engineer, a Luminae science officer, a Veskari weapons specialist, all working together seamlessly. Set course for the Andromeda relay, she ordered. "Let us see what is out there waiting to be discovered." As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Sora smiled. The war was over. The peace was secured. Now came the best part. Exploring the unknown. Not as conquerors, but as friends. Not as masters, but as equals. That was the legacy of Earth's war with the Galactic Council. Not domination. Not revenge. But a better galaxy for everyone. The galaxy had been astonished when Earth struck back. But they were even more astonished when Earth chose to build bridges instead of empires. That, more than any weapon or technology, was humanity's greatest achievement. They had proven that winning was not about crushing your enemies. It was about turning enemies into friends and building a future together. And in that future, among the stars, humanity, and all the species of the galaxy walked together as equals, exploring, learning, and growing. Together,